Okay, we're now going to do parsvottanasana, which is head to knee, or revolved side angle stretch. So I'm going to do it two directions. So I'm going to do it from the side, and then I'm going to turn my mat to the front so you can see it in both directions, because I think you need to see both the side and the front. So I'm going to come into wide leg, quite wide. I'm a good 3 foot. I'm going to go the legs, but I'll get them as wide as I can so I'm comfortable and not overstraining. Now, because we're going to be facing the front, we want this back left foot to be turned quite away. So lift the ball pads, and then we're going to be facing forward on this one. So if your feet are kind of only at 1 o'clock, you're going to find you're not going to be balanced again. If you're finding balance tricky, I'll do it for this one, and put a foam block underneath your heel. Okay. Now we're going to face forward. So we want our hips facing forward. Again, try not to let the arches, I'm talking about the arches of your feet, don't let them drop, because you'll find that'll make your knee rotate in. Okay, so make sure you've got a nice good standing solid base, so we're not wobbling around. You can go up against the wall, put your heel against the skirting board. Now, we're going to do it 2 wooden blocks, so both legs remain completely straight in this pose, there's no bending. We're going to keep them very rooted, very straight. And we're not going to curve over in the spine, because that's what the body wants to do, because it's much easier to get into the pose like that. We're going to bend from our center, from our pelvis, from our hips here. Bend from this, the root of your hips. Okay. So when we're ready, we're going to take a good breath in, and out breath. We're going to very slowly, so keep pushing back on that heel, push back on that heel to take the strain. Okay. And we're going to come down, so I've got my chin out, it's up, jerking out, there I've got my chin out. Now, remember what I said when we had the belts and I came out and I pulled you, so think about what's my hip doing, because my hip, really, my left hip wants to be higher, because if my right hip's lower, it's less distance for me to bend down to get my head to the knee. So I'm really thinking I'm pulling my right hip back. Usually the foot that's forward is the hip that wants to drop. So I'm thinking, am I straight? My hip's level. Move them around and think, that's not level. Actually, when it's like that, it takes the strain off my hip, but I can actually feel it more in the back of my thigh here. I can feel it more in my hamstrings. So I'm bringing it round. Yeah, now I can feel the pull up on the side of my leg, which is where it should be. So I'm just going to keep my back. So I want you guys to really focus on getting those hips in the right position. Doesn't matter about getting low. And then once you've worked in it for some time, you think, well, I can't really feel it anymore. I'm not talking again about being in the pose for now, I'm talking about through practice, so maybe in a few weeks' time. Keep lowering it, but not to round like that. You are going to round a little bit once we actually get head to shin, forehead to shin, but just keep thinking, stretch out, and I've got less distance to go, as opposed to when I'm hunching, I'm never going to get my knee, my forehead to my shin. And then eventually, we'll be able to really stretch out, and then walk our hands back and lower. Okay. And to come back out, that's after a lot of practice. You come back out with the same height that you went in. So you don't just come straight back out of the pose. So we're going to work our way back up. I'm going to hold it there on my highest pose and really make sure my back's straight. Think about, so I'm really feeling it on the outside of my thigh muscle here. When my hip is pulled up properly, when my hips are in line, I can feel it. If I move my hips, it totally takes the strain off it, but it's putting strain on the inside of my groin. So what I'll do now, then we can just step your feet back together and do it on the opposite side. I'll do it from the front, so I'll just turn my mat round so you can see, hopefully, you'll be able to see my hip alignment and what's right. If I move my hips around, you'll be able to see, all right, yes, I can see what Sarah was talking about then. Okay, so I'll do it on my opposite leg, so I get an even, okay. So hopefully, I'm hoping you'll be able to see this on the camera. So, I'm in the pose. So again, My right hip, my left hip, sorry, because my left's the one that's forward, is really wanting to go in. And when I do pull it round, if I just bend down a little bit more, this hip's coming out and this hip's down. Because it means that this side of my body's then bending round because it's like, but there's less distance. So when I get my head down, you're not getting any benefit out of this side. So if I twist around like this, hopefully you can see this hip's facing there. And now I'm going to slowly pull it around. And I'll just lower so you can see. So now I'm not feeling it in the groin, I'm feeling it in the outs, the entire, you've got a massive muscle that's attached to you that goes right down just below your knee, which is what I have problems with. And I can feel that entire muscle, all the fascias in it stretching, okay? So just go, oh, yeah, I can feel that on the inside of my leg. Right, now I can feel that on the outside. Again, support that back heel if it needs to, but really push back in that back heel and just really try and get that back straight. Okay, so just play around very gently, think, yeah, I can feel my hip moving up, that's better. And now I can feel it in my back calf and I can feel it in the side of my leg. Again, don't let those arches drop. Keep the toes grounded, but try and keep those arches lifted. And eventually, you'll be able to work your way down. Okay? And then bring your feet together. Okay. That's definitely the pose that you need to think about your hips. It's definitely a pose you need to work into over a long period of time because you could quite easily really overstretch your calves and your hamstrings. Okay?